Hey guys, in this video I'll go over Datalink for the Apache. So in the mission editor, if you click on your Apache and you click the pink button, you can see all the frequencies for all the radio channels. So in the Apache, the Datalink runs through your radios, and you can have your Datalink running through any of the radios you want. And there's 10 different preset channels in the Apache, and each preset channel has frequencies for all the radios. For example, on channel 1 I have a frequency for this radio, channel 1 has a frequency for this radio, So basically the way it works is you choose a channel that you're going to want to use for Datalink, and you're going to choose a radio. So let's say I want to use FM1 channel 1. So I'd have channel 1 here for my Datalink, and I'd be using FM1 radio. And basically everybody who wants to be on the same Datalink network as you needs to be on the same frequency. So if I was on 30 megahertz for the Datalink network, everybody else would need to be on 30 megahertz. And you have to have it as a preset channel. If you manually type the frequency into the radio for Datalink, it's not going to work. It has to be a preset channel. So now if you click the blue button here, you can see these Datalink settings. So you have originator ID and call sign. The call sign doesn't matter. You can just type in whatever you want. For the originator ID, every Apache on the same network needs to have a different ID. So right now, my ID is number 2. If somebody else wanted to be in the same network as me, they cannot have ID number 2. They need to have a different ID. And then if you click the pink button, so you can see the channels I was talking about here. There's all the different preset channels. You could theoretically have multiple Datalink networks. Like you could have 4 Apaches, and 2 of them are on one network and 2 of them are on another network. And then there's a third network that all 4 are in. But just to be simple in this video, I'm just going to consider, one network. So I'll just do preset 1 here, and we could set up a Datalink network here. So the way you set it up is, I want to do preset 1. So you just have to see what radio you want to use. So let's just say I want to have, the FM1. So for channel 1 here, I have 30 megahertz. So you need to make sure everybody else is using the same frequency. And then what you do here is you have these settings. For auto acknowledge, what it means is that when somebody sends your Apache a Datalink message, your Apache will automatically acknowledge that it received the message. I'm not sure what would happen if you turned off auto acknowledge. I'm assuming that you would have to manually acknowledge it somehow, but I'm not sure how you would do that. I couldn't find anything about it in the manual, but I just recommend leaving auto acknowledge on always. And then there's the acknowledge retries. So if your Apache sends a message to someone and it doesn't get an acknowledgement receipt, this is how many times it'll retry sending that message. So now you can see the list of all the people in your network here. So you can have 16 people in your network, including you. If you add another Apache into your group, it's automatically added to the network. So if I click on my Apache and then go up here and add another one, and let me go back to the first one, you can see that new Apache was automatically added to my network, because this Apache here is hot start, and the Apache I added is hot start 1. And if I go back to the first Apache, you can see I have hot start, which is me, and hot start 1, which is the other guy. So if you have 2 Apaches in a group, they'll automatically be, on the same network, and it'll be set up correctly. You can see ID 2 and ID 3. Basically, for each Apache in the network, you can have it set as a team member or a primary member. So a team member lets you send just basic information like text messages and, waypoints. And primary lets you send a ton of other stuff. In your network, you can have 16 people in total, including you, and everybody can be a team member, but only 8 people can be a primary member. Let's say you have another Apache that's not in your group and you need to add it. So I just put down another Apache, and this Apache that I put down is a separate group here. You can see this group I was messing with earlier is called Hot Start, but this one is called Rotary 2. So if you have an Apache in a different group, it's not going to be automatically added to Datalink, so you have to add it. So I want to add this guy here, right? And his pilot name is Rotary 21. So I need to go back to my other Apache and find units and find Rotary 21 and click add, and now he's part of my Datalink. And now I need to go to this guy, and in his Datalink I need to add these 2. So these 2 guys were hot start and hot start 1. And actually these 2 guys are both in the same group called hot start. So I'm going to go to this guy, and I can just add this entire hot start group and click add. Now these 3 Apaches all are connected in the Datalink network. They're all in channel 1 network. So that is how you would set up Datalink from the mission editor. Now keep in mind, right now the way the Apache is that the Datalink only works in multiplayer. So if you are using AI in your mission, the Datalink is not going to work. I'm not sure if they're going to add it later. In the video, I'll still be able to demonstrate some things, but right now for the Apache, Datalink only works in multiplayer. And something I forgot to mention, in the pink button, you can actually go to the settings tab here, and you can see those presets I talked about. For the unit ID and call sign, you can just type in whatever you want. But you need to make sure you have Datalink net enabled. If you disable it, Datalink will not work. And you can notice here that Datalink is not available on preset 9 and 10. And for primary frequency, it doesn't actually matter what you select here. What this is for primary frequency is that when you're looking, I'll show you in the cockpit, but in your cockpit for all your presets, it has a primary radio selected, which is the radio you're supposed to be using it with. Like for preset 1, you can see VHF. Basically, VHF is going to show up as white and everything else will be green. And it's basically telling me for preset 1, you're supposed to be using VHF. But you can use whatever radio you want. It doesn't actually matter. It doesn't have any function. It's just telling you what you're supposed to do, but it doesn't matter what you select here. You can select anything here and it will still work. Now let me show you how to adjust Datalink from the cockpit. So like I mentioned, Datalink runs through your radios. So if you go to the display here, you can see all your radios. And if you use the Datalink rocker, you can move this square, and the square is what radio you want to be transmitting Datalink through. So the pilot and co-pilot can actually have separate radios for transmitting through Datalink. So this square is mine and the diamond is the co-pilot. But I had it set up to where I wanted my Datalink to be in channel 1 using the VHF radio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my VHF for Datalink transmission and make sure it's tuned into channel 1. And if it's not, you can just click the P button here and preset 1, and you can use the rocker here to choose the preset and click enter. But let me actually go back to preset 1. Whoops. So then what you can do is adjust the Datalink settings in the comms page. So if you click comm on the MFD, you have all these settings here. So a lot of this stuff has to do with just the radios, so I'm not going to be going over everything because only some of the functions are for Datalink. So I have a separate tutorial for radios. But the first thing here is origin ID. So if you click on this, most of these settings don't do anything. The only things you can adjust in origin ID is you can change your call sign, and like I mentioned, you can just click it and type whatever you want. And like I mentioned, the call sign doesn't matter. It's just whatever you want. But here's the origin ID, and this is really important. Everybody on your network has to have a different origin ID. So if you have a problem where 2 people have the same ID, then somebody has to go here and click this and change theirs to a different number. So here you can see all the different presets 1 through 10. So remember, we wanted to use preset 1 for Datalink. So I'm going to click on it, and you can see that setting I talked about earlier, the primary radio, that this shows up in white. So this is telling me for preset 1 I'm supposed to be using VHF, and it doesn't matter what I have set here. If you wanted to actually change it, you could just click preset edit and primary, and I could change it to UHF if I wanted, and now UHF is white, but it doesn't matter. It's just a visual thing. So I'll just change it back to VHF. But you can see VHF is on 127.5. So if you wanted to do Datalink, everybody else would have to have their preset set up the same way. So they'd have to have it selected with the VHF radio or whatever radio you're all using and the same frequency, 127.5. And if you wanted to adjust the frequency, you can click preset edit and select whatever radio you're using. So like VHF, and click frequency and type it in, and then you would click enter. Now when you go to preset edit, you might see this button here that says modem. So these are also some of the same settings that were from the mission editor. So for protocol, make sure you have it set to Datalink. Most of these other settings don't do anything, but if you have it set to none, then it's not going to work. So make sure protocol is set to Datalink, and make sure auto acknowledge is selected. And retries is what I talked about earlier from the mission editor, and baud rate doesn't do anything. So those were modem settings. And when you have the preset selected, you can also see this button here that says network. So this adjusts who else is connected to your Datalink network. So you can see I have 2 other people on my network here, and you can see their call sign and their origin ID. And basically for each person in your network, you can change if you want them to be a team member or a primary. Remember, everybody can be a team member, so you should have team turned on for everyone, but only 8 people can be a primary member. If you want to delete somebody, you can just click on them and you can just click delete. And if you want to add somebody, you can click member directory, and it shows all the Apaches here, and you can click on somebody and then you can click add, and it says stored in net location 2. So if you click back, you can see now they're added. And once they're added, you have to remember to add them as a team member and a primary member. And if you want to change somebody's call sign, you can do this here and type their call sign in, and you can click sub to change their ID. Now, if you go to the member directory, there's also the replace function. So I could have, G2 and click replace. And let's say I want to replace G4 with G2. So I click that, and now G2 is here. But I'm gonna go ahead and put G4 back. So let me actually select G4 and put him back. Now, when you're in the comms page, if you don't have any presets selected, you might see this Datalink button on top. I'm not sure what this page is for. I couldn't find anything about it in the manual, but I think most of these buttons don't do anything because when I click them, nothing happens. The only thing I noticed is that I can click modem to standby or operate, but I would just leave it on operate. I'm assuming on standby the Datalink wouldn't work. So in this page, I don't think you're really supposed to be messing with anything. So that is how you set up your Datalink network. Let me show you how to use Datalink now. So you also use Datalink in the comm page. So what you do is just make sure you have your network you want to transmit on, and then what you want to do is you go to the message button and click send. And mission 1 and mission 2 don't do anything right now. So what you can do is click this to send a text message, and you have all these pre-made messages here. So what you can do is you can click this and you can just click send, and you can see it's highlighted, and then it'll be done highlighting, so it just sent the message to everyone, and this will send it to everybody. So all the Datalink functions in this comms page will be sent to everyone who is set as a team member. And you can set everyone in your network as a team member. So these will be sent to everybody basically. And you can also send a free text message. So you can just click this and you can just type whatever you want and click enter. And then you can click send. Now, when you send a message, as you can see, for me, it says transmit not acknowledged here. So what this means is that you did not get an acknowledged receipt from one of the people in your Datalink. The reason that happened for me is because I'm using AI, and right now the AI Datalink doesn't work with the AI in DCS. It only works with real people in multiplayer. But if you had everything set up correctly in multiplayer, then you shouldn't be seeing the not acknowledged message. If you see it, it means that probably somebody doesn't have automatic acknowledgements turned on. And if you want to turn on automatic acknowledgements, you can get out of the send page and then click one of your presets, go to net and modem, and make sure auto acknowledge is turned on. So back in the send page, besides text, you can also click the current mission button, and this is for sending points in your TSD database. So right now area and lines don't do anything, but you can send waypoints, threat points, control measures, and you can send laser codes. So you can just click whatever you want and you can click send, and it sends it to all your team members. Or you could choose a route you want to send, like I could send route alpha. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you're gonna want to send a route, let's say a route has waypoint 2, 4, and 3. It's going to use, whatever waypoints 2, 4, and 3 the person you're sending it to has. So if their waypoint 2, 4, and 3 is different from yours, then their route's gonna be not right. So basically, if you're gonna send a route, make sure you send your waypoints first, and then send the route so it'll be correct. And if you want, you can just send everything. So if you click all, it'll just send all the points you have and use it to update their point database. And then you can just click send. Now, if you get a message from somebody else, there will be a receive option here. So you'll just click that receive button and it'll open a new menu, and you can choose to accept or ignore that message. So if it's like a point, you could accept it to add it to your database, or if it's like a text message, you could read the text. So that was all the Datalink functions from this comm page. Now I'll go over the Datalink functions on the TSD. Now on the TSD, the Datalink functions here only are for primary members, which is only up to 8 people in your network. So the first thing you can do is send any points you have. So let me actually make a point real quick. I'm gonna make a waypoint. And basically, to send a point, all you have to do is go to your point menu, and then you have to select one of your points. So the point selected will be highlighted. Waypoint 2 is selected now, so it's highlighted. So I'm going to select waypoint 1. And once it's selected, all you do is click transmit. And then you're going to have all the people in your network show up here. I only have 2 people, G3 and G4, but if you had other people, they would all show up here. So you can just select who you want to send it to. You can select multiple people and click send, and it will send that TSD point to them. And then when you're done, you can get out of transmit mode and get out of the point menu. Now, if somebody sends you a point, basically you're gonna hear an audio message and you're gonna have a little notification. And there's gonna be a button here that says receive, so you can click that button, and it's going to open a menu, and you can choose if you want to accept or ignore that data link message. I can't really demonstrate that because I don't have anybody else here in the mission, but basically you just see receive and click on it, and it'll be pretty straightforward what to click on. So now I'll go over tactical reports. So in the TSD page, you can click the report button up here, and there's different types of tactical reports you can send. Now some of them are not modeled yet. Stat here and sit, spot, ATHS, RDAF, all these with the little block next to it are not modeled or not functional. But basically the 4 ones that work are BDA, target, present position, and farm. So what a BDA report does is it sends your missile shot coordinates. So what that is I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to go to the coordinates menu, and you can see shot. So every time you shoot a Hellfire missile, it's going to save the coordinates of where the missile was supposed to hit. And basically what you can do is send those coordinates to somebody. So go to the report menu and go to BDA, and what you can do is select own, and all you have to do is choose who you want to send it to and click send. And if somebody else sent you their shot coordinates, then what you could do is click all, and all will send all the shot coordinates you have from your own Hellfires and from other people's Hellfires, and you could send those too. So that's BDA. And then there is targets. So this is for sending targets from your radar. So as your radar picks up targets, they're going to show up on your map. So basically the radar has primary targets and low priority targets. The primary targets are the 16 most dangerous threats, and everything else is a low priority target. So you can send your primary targets here, choose who you want to send it to, click send, or you can choose all your radar targets and click send. And also, if you want to send a specific radar target, you can just move your cursor over it and click enter, and then you can send that one too. So that's what the target button does. And then PP is present position. This just sends your current position so other people know where you are. And one thing to keep in mind is that the Apache data link is not like the other data links in DCS that are continuously updated. The Apache data link only updates when you send info. So if I send my present position to other people, if I move my helicopter around, it's not going to move around on their screen. It's still going to show my old position. So if I want them to know where I am, I have to send my present position again. So it doesn't continuously update. Every time you want to update your position for other people, you have to send it again. And then there's farm reports. So farm is fuel, ammo, rockets, and missiles. So what you can do is if you click that and send it, it'll basically just send information about your helicopter to other people, like how many munitions you have left and fuel and stuff like that. So that is a farm report. Now something to keep in mind is that you can also request tactical reports from people. So if I want to request somebody's position, I can click PP and click request here, and then I can select my data link members and click send. So instead of sending my position, it's going to request their positions. And one thing to keep in mind is that you cannot request radar targets. You can only send them. If I don't have any of these selected here, you'll notice this reply option on the bottom. So what this is for is if somebody requests something from me, will it automatically send it to them? Like if I have it on auto, if someone requests my present position, it'll automatically give it to them. But if I have it on off, if someone requests my position, I have to manually send it to them. So that is what that's for. So that was the tactical reports page. And if somebody sends you a report, basically you will get an audio little notification, and you'll get a notification here, and then you'll have the receive button here, so you can just click it and you can accept or reject whatever they sent you. Next I'll go over fire zones. So on the TSD you can click BAM here, which is Battle Area Management, and you can create fire zones for different Apaches. So what you can do is select the type here. You can do PF or NF. NF is a no fire zone. I'll talk about that in a second. PF is a priority fire zone. So you can choose the way you want to make it, and I'll go over each option here. So if you want to do an auto mode, basically in auto mode you select how many zones you want to make, and when you draw it, it'll split into that many zones. So if I have it set to 4, what I do is I cursor enter and draw and cursor enter, and it splits it into 4 fire zones. And now what I can do with my fire zones is if I want, I can delete it, or I can click the active button and choose which one I want to activate. So let's say PF2, and you can see fire zone 2 is spinning now. So what the activating does is it interacts with your radar. So let me actually bring up my radar here. So with your radar, if you have a fire zone activated, it'll show up right here. If I deactivate the fire zone, it doesn't show up on my radar anymore. And basically, if a fire zone is activated, then anything inside it will be prioritized. And if I have a no fire zone activated, then any radar targets inside that fire zone will be ignored. So that's what the activating is for. And once you have a fire zone, what you can also do is click assign. You can choose a fire zone and somebody in your data link that you want to operate. So let's say that I wanted to have fire zone 2 for G3. So I would click fire zone 2 here and click G3. And then let's say I want to have fire zone 1. So I'll do fire zone 1 and click own. So that is how you can assign fire zones. Now, once you've set up your fire zone and you have everything how you want, you can send your fire zone over data link. So all you do is select who you want to send it to and just click send right here. So let me go over the other ways to make fire zones. So you can get rid of the ones you have by clicking delete and yes. So I went over auto mode already. Well, actually, let me show you how to draw it with a line. So I did box mode earlier, but if you click this, you can go to line mode. And the way line mode works is you basically put down one point, put down another, one more, and then you can do the last one. So you can create any kind of shape you want here. So that's auto mode. Now let me show you manual mode. So on manual mode, you can select how many zones you want, but basically you create each one. So I can create number 1, number 2, and I had 2 selected here, so I can make a maximum of 2. And you can do box mode or you can do line mode. So let me go ahead and delete these. And then the last one is TRP. So the way this works is that you can choose a size, so 1, 2, or 3 kilometers. And then when you put it down, it puts down 4 evenly spaced fire zones. So that is how that works. So now let me go over the no fire zones. So if you click this, you can draw a no fire zone, and you can only have one, and you can do a box or a line. So what you do is you click it and draw it, and the no fire zone is yellow. So you can accept it here, and if you have it accepted, you can send it over data link like normal, and also you can activate it. And if you activate it, let me actually draw it somewhere else so you can see it on the radar. Let me put it, so it'll show up on your radar 2 as a no fire zone, and any targets inside of here will be ignored. So that is how the no fire zone works. And also keep in mind that if you have a no fire zone and you have a priority fire zone, then you can either send just one, so I can select the PFC and I can send it, or the no fire zone and send it, or you can send both of them. So I can do transmit both and click send, and it'll send both of them. So that is how the fire zones work. And if somebody sends you a fire zone, it's the same procedure as before. You'll just get a notification and you can click receive here, and it'll give you some options to accept it. So the last thing I'll go over is radar handovers. I mentioned earlier you can send radar targets because when you get a radar target, it'll show up on your TSD, but you can actually send targets directly from your radar. And the way it works is that if you send it directly from your radar, if the person accepts it, then they can immediately fire a radar-guided missile towards it. So the way it works is that basically you have something selected as your NTS. On your radar, your NTS is basically your main target that's selected. So the NTS is with a diamond here, and you can click the NTS button to cycle through all your targets. And you can also move your cursor over one. So let me put it over the circle and click enter, and it selects it as your NTS. So just select a target you want to send as your NTS, and then click RF handover, and then choose who you want to send it to, and then you can click send, and it will send them the radar target. So that is how Datalink works in the Apache. Thanks for checking out this video, and I'll see you later.